Hey everyone, ever get that travel bug, that itch for an epic solo trip? But then there's that little voice, that what if, that kind of holds you back.
Oh, totally. It's a really common concern, especially for women who are heading out on their own.
Exactly. So today we are diving deep into practical safety tips. And because everyone loves a cool gadget, we're focusing on gear specifically. We'll be unpacking excerpts from 10 life-saving travel safety accessories for the female solo traveler.
And this is written by Sarah Sai, who, get this, is a flight attendant, a seasoned solo traveler.
Talk about knowing your stuff right. I mean,
Yeah.
she's dealing with travel logistics and personal safety on the regular. But I have to say, the term life-saving, when we're talking travel accessories, that's a pretty bold claim. Was there anything on Sarah's list that you felt really lived up to that?
You know, life-saving might be pushing it a little, but I do think she really highlights how important it is to just feel safe and secure, especially when you're exploring solo. It's less about these gadgets magically whisking away danger and more about just minimizing risk and feeling empowered.
So being prepared and knowing you have a plan, which in turn boosts your confidence on the road.
Exactly. And it's interesting because even though she's focusing on these tangible items, these gadgets, she does kind of subtly hint at these broader safety strategies. Like
Right.
one thing she emphasizes is choosing accommodation with good security features.
That's a really good point, but what does that even mean? Like a decent lock on your door, obviously, but what else falls under good security features?
Right. It's not always super clear. Personally, I think about things like, is there 24/7 reception? Are the corridors well lit? Maybe even CCTV cameras in common areas. It's those little details that can really add those layers of security, especially when you're alone.
Yeah, totally. It's those little things that can make a big difference.
Mm.
And speaking of hotel rooms, one of the things that Sarah recommends that I think we can all relate to is a portable door lock. Who hasn't stayed in a hotel room, encountered a kind of flimsy lock, and thought, this doesn't feel super safe.
It's so true. It's like this primal need for having your own secure space, and that's amplified even more when you're in a new place, a new environment. But then some of her other recommendations are just cool. Like I never knew I needed a wazoo cap until now.
Okay, Wazoo Cap, you're going to have to elaborate on that one. Is that just a funny name or is there actual practicality there?
The wazoo cap is brilliant. And it's not just about feeling like you're some super spy, but having those hidden pockets is perfect for keeping a little extra cash. Maybe a copy of your passport separate from your main belongings.
Oh, that is smart.
Hmm.
It's all about minimizing risk, not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Precisely. Just having those backup options if your main bag gets lost or, heaven forbid, stolen.
Right, because it's all about hope for the best, prepare for the worst, but, make it fashion.
Exactly. And speaking of being prepared and looking good, the She's Birdie personal alarm, that one stood out to me too.
Oh, yeah, that's one that I feel like we've been seeing everywhere lately. What are your thoughts on personal alarms as a safety tool in general?
You know, what I really like about this one is that it's discreet. You can easily attach it to your bag or your keys, and it's really loud. It's that attention-grabbing sound that if you need to deter someone or call for help, it's playing on this very primal fear. No one wants to be caught red-handed.
It's like that extra level of security, knowing you have a backup plan, which I think can be incredibly empowering. And I really love that they donate a portion of the proceeds to women's safety organizations.
Yeah, absolutely. It's safety with a side of social good, but I know some people might be thinking, okay, do I really need all this stuff? Especially if I'm going somewhere that's considered relatively safe. And it's a valid question.
Right. It's easy to go down that rabbit hole of cool gadgets, and then you get to packing, and you're like, well, how much of this is actually practical?
Right.
So for our listeners who maybe are on a budget or just trying to be mindful of how much they're bringing with them, what would you say are the non-negotiables in terms of safety gear, those things that are really worth the investment?
That's such a good question. You know, if I had to pick just one, I would say a good travel bag, and specifically the Travelin Anti-Theft Cross-Body Bag. It's practical for every day. You can use it all the time, and it really addresses a specific type of theft that sadly women are often targeted for bag snatching.
Okay, so this isn't just your average run-of-the-mill bag then. What makes it special?
So it has all these built-in security features like slash-resistant material, locking compartments, again, deterring anyone who might try to take it from you. And then one of my favorite features is the strap. It's cut-proof, so it makes it really hard to slash and grab.
Oh, wow, that's brilliant. It's like having this little mobile fortress for your valuables.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, it keeps your hands free, which is always a plus when you're trying to navigate a new city. Snap those Instagrammable moments.
Oh, for sure. It sounds like Sarah really thought of everything when putting together this list to help women travel confidently and safely. This has been such an eye-opening deep dive into travel safety gear, but I love that it's also sparking this bigger conversation about safety in general, especially for solo female travelers.
Absolutely. And, we focus so much on physical safety today, but there are these other aspects to consider as well, the emotional, the mental side of things that are just as important.
100% agree. It's more than just the gadgets and the gear. It's about cultivating that inner sense of security and confidence that allows you to really embrace the adventure. So for those listening who are ready to embark on their own solo journeys, what are your go-tos for cultivating that feeling, that inner sense of security and well-being when you're traveling solo?
Ooh, that's a really good question. And it's so key as we kind of shift from the physical safety gear to those emotional, mental aspects of solo travel. I think for me, it's about having this toolkit, these little strategies, things that work for you.
So give us an example. What's in your toolkit?
For me, I have a couple close friends, some family members, and we have this system where they kind of check in, even if it's just a quick text, just so they know where I am, that I'm safe. And knowing that someone knows where I am, that they can reach me if they need to, or if something happens, it just gives me this sense of peace of mind.
It's like leaving a trail of breadcrumbs, but instead of in the forest, it's as you're navigating a new city.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be this constant communication. It's more about just knowing that you have that network, those people you can count on. And I think that can really make a difference when you're on your own.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. And it actually makes me think about all of those online communities for travelers, for people who travel solo specifically, where they can connect, share stories, tips. I imagine that can be really helpful too.
100%. Just being able to connect with people who get it, who understand what it's like to travel solo, the challenges, the joys. It's so validating. It's your space to swap tips, get recommendations, build that sense of camaraderie.
Finding your people, even when you're on the road.
Right. And sometimes that community isn't just online. Sometimes it's seeking out a local group or an activity that aligns with your interests. It could be a hiking club, or maybe you join a language exchange, a cooking class, anything that resonates with you.
It's all about making connections, building community, even as you're exploring independently.
I love that.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into solo female travel safety, what's the main thing, that one key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
You know, I think it's approaching solo travel with this balanced mindset. Be prepared, you know? Be prepared for the unexpected, whether it's something small like misplacing your passport or those bigger things like that feeling of loneliness that can sometimes creep in. But also be open. Be open to the magic and the adventure that comes with getting out there, exploring the world on your own terms.
So well said. It's not about living in fear. It's about feeling empowered, ready to embrace the adventure.
Exactly. And remember, safety is a journey. It's not this destination. It's about continually learning, adapting, figuring out what works for you.
I love that. We hope this deep dive has given you some tools, some tangible, some not so tangible, to help you have an incredible, safe, and fulfilling solo adventure. Safe travels, everyone, and remember, you've got this.